the screen. Can you see my screen? Okay, awesome. Thank you. Okay, so let's go over, today we're going to be going over specifically just the concepts we just talked about, right? How are we going to be able to distinguish? Oh, that's not chapter 9. Let's see, chapter 10. That's better. So we're going to just be going over the relevant costing for managerial decisions. And so we're going to talk about what are relevant costs for short-term decision making. We're going to talk about how you determine selling prices using for professional services, which is time and materials approach. We're also going to talk about how do you determine what a price is in general. And I have a ton of clients that I work with personally. I'm a business coach on the side where they ask me, how do I charge for my services? How do I charge for my products? And we'll go into that. And I shared my blog related to that as well. And then we're also going to talk about specifics related to pricing and selling and buying decisions, where how do we decide if we're making or buying a product? How do we decide if we should sell or process it further? So on and so forth. And these are all relevant questions to companies. Let's say an Apple company buys apples. Should they resell the apples or should they make it into apple juice? Is apple juice enough, or should they then make it into hard cider and make it into a type of alcohol afterwards? When do they decide to stop the process and sell a finished product? Do they decide to bottle it and then sell it directly, or do they decide to send it to a separate bottling company? Right, all of these questions we have to ask ourselves. Sales mix, how much of a certain product we want to buy, segment elimination. How do we decide to remove a segment from our analysis? Product selling price using costing data. All this we're going to be going over in detail today. So there's 5 steps to decision making. I think it's common sense, but I really suggest thinking through this. It's actually, there's tons of leadership science, leadership research about effective decision making, and you can go down some amazing rabbit holes in literature related to effective decision making. There's all these amazing frameworks. There's Scrum framework that they use in engineering a lot, which I also use for finance and business. You have lean decision-making process. You have OKR decision-making processes, objective key results. There's all of these interesting frameworks, but all of them have the underlying philosophy of, first, we have to define what we want to do as a team or as a company. And we have to identify alternative actions because we have limited time. We can't do everything. There's not unlimited amounts of people and hours or resources. Then after we identify all of the alternatives to reach our goal or task, we collect the relevant information. So we might decide how much it would cost. We might decide how much time it would take, who we need to hire, then ultimately select a course of action. And then afterwards, we have something called a postmortem, where we analyze and assess if the decision was correct, who made the decision, we should trust them to make a decision in the future, what went wrong. And this will always be going into our decision making, but there's other frameworks outside of this that you'll learn in leadership classes and in business management classes that go into how do we actually go about defining tasks and goals for an organization. But know that we always have to be looking at decisions in this framework. It shouldn't just be, oh, I feel this is the correct answer. No, we should always be doing our research. We should always be defining and realizing that we have a set amount of time. Like you signing up for this class, you could have decided to actually work instead of this, or to have rested. But hopefully you probably did some kind of preliminary assessment like here, right? Where you defined what's your goal, probably to have a good job at the end of this, or to learn more, or to run your business better. And then after that, you've identified alternatives. Is there a better way for me to get my education? Maybe you could have gone for a private college. Maybe you could have decided to go to a trade school, but you decided, no, I'm going to go to community college. It's affordable, good education. After you collected the relevant information, and then decide that course of action. And then ultimately after this, you'll assess and say, well, I was able to get a good job, or maybe the job market, there's another skill you want to go down. But this is the whole process of going through any decision making in your life.